can you turn the volume up on the mics? They say we can't hear us.
And then also it says that they can hear them more than us.
Okay.
Switch your mic.
What do you mean switch it?
This one was just not on.
Oh, great. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay, hopefully you can hear us now. Yeah, it sounds better in our ears. Okay, so we're starting here. Jimmy McClure here is playing a water box deck. We can see, and Chris is playing Night March as we expected. So,
Yeah, McClure is playing, I think, very similar list to what he played at Nats with Waterbox here. So, pretty sure Waterbox has a favorable matchup in this one because there's code. Or what do you think?
I think it's really close. Jimmy's very confident in the matchup. I talked to him a little bit earlier in this tournament, and he beat a Night March Vespiquen even, which is even harder than the regular Night March matchup. And he says both of them he thinks are favorable for his deck. With Chris here, he started with a Shaman, so that's never a good thing, no matter what deck you're playing. And he's forced to attach a DCE. If McClure can punish this with either a Zerosic or an Enhance Hammer, because we know he plays both of them, that could be a really big deal, as that would only leave 3 double colorless for Chris. And under Quaking Punch, you can't use Puzzle of Time.
Oh, I bet he wished he could use those puzzles.
Yeah. So we're going to see, for those of you not familiar with the Pokemon trading card game, the player on the left, Chris, Night March, is playing... Night March is by far the most popular deck in the format right now. At Nationals a couple weeks ago, it took up over a third of the top 64 players.
Wow, it's over a third?
Yep, it was, I believe, 26 out of 64.
Wow. What are the other big decks played?
There's a good amount of Trevenant, the Trevenant deck that took 2 places in the top 8. And so did a water box, though. Paul Johnston, one of my friends, made top 8 with a very similar list to that Jimmy is playing. Actually, and I forgot to mention, Chris Saikala on the left here actually made top 8 with his Night March list just a couple weeks ago at the National Championship. I believe he lost to Liam Williams playing the Darkrai Giratina deck, but he's not playing against that this round, so it'll be interesting to see how he does against Jimmy.
But this tournament structure, though, today with ARG is much different than what we are used to, because this is, I guess, not... I mean, it's like official Pokemon, obviously, but it's not like a sanctioned event, so you wouldn't be gaining championship points through it. But it's really neat because this is best of 1, 30 minutes rounds today. So I guess it kind of affects the way that matchups might be going, because ties are sort of less of a factor in this format, I think.
Yeah, definitely. In the best of 3 50 matchups, you run into a lot of situations where one player wins game 1, one player wins game 2, and there's only maybe 5-10 minutes left for a game 3. And that often ends up in awkward situations where either players tie or they need to... Oh, and then we see the Enhance Hammer by Jimmy. Wow. That is so big. That is so big. So just quick recap. We'll go back to the tournament structure in a minute. But Jimmy played a Hoopa, searching for 2 Seismitoad, his main guys, and a Manaphy, which is going to let his Seismitoad free retreat if he so wishes. Jimmy's really looking for some type of Max Elixir Energy Switch combo to get off a turn 1 Quaking Punch. He does get the Rough Seas to counter Dimension Valley, which just makes 1 more card that Chris has to find on his turn if he wants to attack. If Jimmy does get a Quaking Punch here, he ensures that he will not be Night March next turn, because Chris would not be able to play Floatstone on his Shaman. That's really big that Chris missed the Floatstone on his first turn, actually. Where you see Jimmy, BS Seeker for Sycamore. He hasn't played a supporter yet, so he's going to do that.
Oh,
he did discard an Energy Switch and 2 VS Seeker.
That's big.
That could be really big. So that's 3 VS Seeker gone for Jimmy. So he's going to have to play pretty conservatively for the rest of the game with his supporters. We got a comment. 2 of the most boring decks out there. I think Trevenant, Trevenant or Vileplume Vespiquen would be a little bit more boring than the Water Box. But I guess they all have the item lock in common. Night March, I think, is a very exciting deck to see play. I think players are a little bit Sick of seeing it because it's been so dominant all year. But
it's just that turn one is just so boring to sit on the other side.
yeah,
Just like watching them compress 4 or 5 times, like
yeah.
it's just absurd.
I played Night March at Nationals actually, and I had one game where I played 5 battle compression on the first turn. Using puzzle at time to get back a battle compressor at one point. Yeah, Chris is a very good player, so we could see some really interesting plays from his Night March. I was actually talking to on Facebook the other day with on Eric Gansman posted on Burbank City about how Night March is actually really takes a lot of skill to really master and play the deck perfectly. I think it's easy to play Night March decently well, and you can win games because of the sheer strength of the deck. But there's a lot of intricate plays whenever you have cards like Battle Compressor, Teammates in the deck, and Puzzle at Time. There's so many options on any given turn, and you really have to make all the correct micro decisions to really maximize your chances of winning with the deck. So we see Chris VS Seeker in AZ back. So the reason that he did that is because Seismitoad EX is probably going to use Quaking Punch next turn, which doesn't allow items. And so he wants to use that card before it is useless. We do see him Sky Return, saving the double colorless. It doesn't do any damage because of Rough Seas, which heals 30 from water Pokemon. So we'll see what Jimmy can do. I think Jimmy's in a pretty good position.
Yeah, without a doubt. You got to take out this Joltik.
Yeah, he's about to Quaking Punch and really start setting up a lock. I can't really tell how many Night Marchers Chris has in his discard pile.
Doesn't look. Wait, is that his hand or is the discard to the side?
As far as I can tell, he has no discard pile, but it might just be off camera. Oh no, okay, Jimmy was looking at it. So let's see if we can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 5 Night Marchers. So that's not even a 2-hit KO on this Seismitoad. So Chris is going to need a lot of help here, now being item locked. He's debating whether he should put the double colorless down because he doesn't have Dimension Valley. He needs to draw it. He does have Professor Sycamore. Okay, he does have Dimension Valley. This is round 5. Both of these players are 4-0 right now. There is a timer. We have 30 minutes. It's going. I don't know why it's not on the screen, but we can kind of update you. Right now we have 22 minutes left. Time really shouldn't be a factor, as we were talking about before with 30 minutes. 30 minutes is a good amount of time right now to play one game of Pokemon. 50 minutes best of 3 is a little shaky sometimes. Steam Siege is not included. Steam Siege is not legal until the World Championships. So we do see a Night March, and Jimmy immediately responds by knocking out that Dimension Valley with the Rough Seas, which is just going to add even more time for Chris to knock it out. Jimmy looks like he's powering up bench Seismitoad. He's probably going to... He might want a Grenade Hammer with the second Seismitoad. We'll see. Grenade Hammer is really strong. It does 130 damage and knocks out Shaman EX for 2 prizes. So Jimmy's strategy throughout this game is going to be Quaking Punch, Quaking Punch, Quaking Punch, Quaking Punch until he can...
oh, wow.
Interesting.
Okay.
So he's going to Quaking Punch on this Shaman EX, and unless Chris has a basic energy to retreat or a DCE to Sky Return...
okay, so he ends there.
Yep. So Chris is looking for an energy. He can't play Floatstone. He already used his AZ, and he Sycamored it away.
Wow, so McClure just might be able to buy a couple turns and just throw some more energy down.
Right, exactly. And if he's able to Quaking Punch, knock out a Shaman EX, that's
what you want to see, right?
Yeah, right, exactly, because then you can just kind of clean up with Grenade Hammer later in the game.
Let's see what they grab off his draw.
See 2 items, 2 useless items. A Teammate's not going to help. He does get the DCE, though, so he will be able to Sky Return. And getting the Mew is pretty big, too, because he wants to Sky Return back into Mew. He doesn't want to send up Pumpkaboo and let his energy get hit. He doesn't want to send up Joltik and just get knocked out. Yeah, Chris, as we can see, Chris definitely plays Mew from Fates Collide. His list at Nationals played 2, and I believe a Jirachi as well.
Oh, wow, and a Jirachi in there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I really agree with playing Jirachi if you do run Mew. I think if you don't run Jirachi, just the free retreat of Mew is not really enough to really. I would argue that you don't need it in the deck if you don't run Jirachi. A lot of players would disagree with me, but I think the deck runs just smoothly enough that if you're playing straight Night March, just play straight Night March.
All right, so McClure attached to the bench size with Toad. So I guess he's not going to pick up the knockout on the Mew. He's just going to swing in with the Quaking Punch.
Right, and I think that's a smart decision. It's still relatively early in the game, prize-wise. I think McClure's up a prize, even. So Chris is going to still have to take 3 EX knockouts. And if he doesn't even have, so we know Chris has a double color, so he can attack with a Joltik, doing 120. But Jimmy will utilize Manaphy's ability to free retreat his Seismitoad, Hex Maniac. So he retreated into Seismitoad so that he can get an extra turn, hopefully off the rough seas. And he's going to use Hex Maniac, so that means that Chris cannot use any abilities this next turn, and including Mew's ability to copy Night March.
Okay, so we got the clock up there now. We figured that one out.
Yeah, okay, so there we go. Now you guys can see the clock. That's good. So just, like we said, still plenty of time left in the game.
Okay, so he probably doesn't have enough marchers to get the one shot here, so
yeah, definitely not.
that's pretty good for McClure.
Last time we saw Chris use Night March, he Night Marched for 120. I didn't realize if he discarded more Night Marchers at any point. So we see Chris drew up to 6 with Shaman, but he saw the last card, so he just showed it to Jimmy, which was an Ultra Ball. Jimmy is putting damage on for Night March, which means it is not a one-hit KO. This is a best of 1 match. This is a best of 1 match.
Okay, so it still looks like he only has six guys in there.
So we'll see McClure use a Rough Seas, and where'd the Fighting Fury Bell go on the bench Seismitoad?
Looks like it got discarded somehow.
I didn't see Chris use a Zerosic, but maybe we just missed that play.
Yeah, because we were looking at the timer. I think.
That's the only thing that makes sense, because he wouldn't have been able to play start the Megaphone.
Like Zerosic's on top
Yeah,
there.
yeah, okay. And that's kind of like a play that Chris doesn't mind making, but he doesn't really want to play Zerosic as a supporter. He's just kind of forced into it by not having any other supporter and being Quaking Punch, so he can't use his BS Seekers. He definitely did not Megaphone because he was under a Quaking Punch lock. So thank you guys. That's what we figured. The Zerosic. So Jimmy will Quaking Punch, knock out that Joltik, and go down to 4 prizes. Chris does have a Teammates, which is pretty awesome for him. He gets to search for any 2 cards in his deck. Now remember, Chris only has access to 1 more double colorless energy besides the one on that Pumpkaboo, because the one was enhanced hammered on the first turn.
I don't see it in deck right now.
I think looks like he's grabbing a Psychic Energy and a Professor Sycamore.
Okay.
So maybe he has Dimension Valley and Joltik in hand, and he's going to copy with Mew. Or maybe he's just going to attach the Psychic Energy to Pumpkaboo. Yeah, okay.
Wow.
And we're going to see a Night March for the knockout. So this Pumpkaboo is interesting, because even if McClure does have an energy removal card, Pumpkaboo doesn't get knocked out, and he might be able to get his 4th double colorless energy.
Yeah, is he going to be off for 10? Because I guess that Joltik's 7 now. 7 marchers in there.
Right, so right now he's looking at 140. But Chris did Teammates for the Sycamore, and it looks like he does have another Pumpkaboo in his hand. So that would put him up to 8 Night Marchers, which would be a knockout. Unless Jimmy also, if Jimmy can find a Fighting Fury Belt here to replace it, that would be pretty big as well. Yeah, that's a Psychic Energy on Pumpkaboo. So Pumpkaboo's Night March attack takes Psychic and 2 double colorless. And we often see, or 3 double colorless. And we often see Dimension Valley taking rid of that last colorless energy. So Jimmy Lysander's Shaman and Quaking Punches. So we saw this play earlier before, and he's kind of thinking the same vein. He can't Float Stone. He's only got 1 double colorless left. He's already played a basic energy, so you got to assume that he doesn't have another basic energy. And Jimmy looks like he's right. Chris just passes.
Yeah, this is just going to be 2 free prizes from McClure.
Yeah.
Because the AZ's already gone, I believe. But I guess he's got Lysander in hand, but
Yeah.
I don't really know what that will do.
Jimmy really needs to remember to rough seize. That would be really bad if he didn't remember
Yeah.
to do that. It would also be, he doesn't have a third Seismitoad to put down on his bench, which is unfortunate. He whiffs the max elixir
Could have sworn I saw a water in there. Maybe he was just playing it just to get rid of it.
just to get rid of it.
Just to
Maybe he's
see
going
what
to
he
end. There are 7 rounds, and this is the 5th round. Both these players are 4-0. There haven't been any ties, I don't believe at all, but I'm pretty sure 5-1-1 would be safe. Definitely 6-1 would be safe to make top 8. We are cutting to a top 8, not any larger than that. So Jimmy's thinking right now. See what he's going to do. Okay, he's going to Sycamore, so he might as well have played the Elixir. What did he discard? 2 Shamans, 2 Ends, and a Rough Seas. So he does opt to not end, which I think is fine. He's drawing more cards. Yeah, this is actually the first ARG event that Pokemon has been at. I know they're doing one more in Rhode Island, I believe, this summer.
On the 14th of August in Rhode Island. And then I think something's in the works for Oklahoma City later on.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Very
that's
nice.
pretty cool. Seems like Pokemon's becoming the next addition to ARG.
Yeah, which would, I don't know. I'm excited. I was excited to come to this first tournament. It's been run very well. It's been going very smoothly with Mike Martin, Pokepop, head judging. Chris Phillip has been one of the main organizers of the event. And it's been running very well so far. So I'm excited.
Between rounds is like seconds.
Yeah.
It's like super quick today.
I do think the best of one kind of lends itself to that because there are less games that go to time, and so it does make the event run quicker. We could even see potentially ARG running different types of tournament structures as we go forward, maybe with like a lot more Swiss rounds or a bigger top cut, things like that.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Hopefully they take advantage of this opportunity to be kind of open with it.
So Jimmy really needs to remember to rough seize. It's been way too. His turn's been going on for a while now, and I really hope he hasn't forgotten about it, because that could be massive. We do see him go for an Articuno. No, he did not rough seize. He did not rough seize. No, he did not. I am very confident he did. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Good. He was asking the judge if he had used rough seize already. But he had not rough seized. The Seismitoad was at 30 at the beginning of the turn. I think McClure's in a totally fine spot. He's got this Shaman locked. And hopefully he's going to start powering up this Articuno, which could take an easy 2 prizes.
Wait, are you guys hearing a weird sound on the stream?
What type of sound do you hear?
When it looks like a dragging a chair. So I don't know. I just want to make sure that we're sounding all right, maybe not.
Let us know if you guys are still hearing anything. We don't hear anything on our end. McClure does get the Fighting Fury belt too. So looks like that Shaman is at 70 damage, which would be enough for another Quaking Punch knockout if it does go back to McClure. Okay. Sorry about that. I think probably was just someone was just moving furniture.
Wait, did you say how much? 70 on him?
70 on the Shaman, yes.
Right,
So Quaking
'cause
Punch
he-
for
yeah, he
30
just
and
got the
a
belt, okay.
belted Quaking Punch. So we see Chris try and Lysander stall Jimmy, but Jimmy has the energy switch and he has the Manaphy to retreat back into the Seismitoad. He's going to Quaking Punch to go down to 2 prizes. Now Chris really shouldn't play another Shaman EX down because it'll just get Lysandered, grenade hammered for the game. Jimmy would need a lot to win with Articuno next turn.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So he's not going to have enough for knockout here.
He will not have, definitely not have enough.
Not with the belt on there.
And not with 3 Night Marches on the field. It's actually impossible.
Wow. How much? Okay, so Jimmy has 2 prizes left.
Yeah. So we'll see a Night March for 160. Rush sees that down to 130. So if Seismitoad EX does stay active, and then it could be knocked out next turn by another Night March, but Chris will still need 2 more prizes after that. So if Jimmy can set up either another Seismitoad or get an energy on this Articuno right here, Okay, he does have the third Seismitoad in the deck. So I think he's probably going to go for that. If he can retreat his active Seismitoad and Quaking Punch again on the active with a fresh Seismitoad EX, I think Jimmy probably has the game won.
Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't played Supporter yet, right? I think
He has not played a supporter.
Okay.
No.
Can't tell what that is in his hand.
So he does attach the Articuno, and he's going to Sycamore.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Jimmy's got a pretty thin deck at this point.
Oh, he picked up an Elixir, but I think he drew all the rest of his... Oh, no.
There is one more.
Wow.
Nice. If he has an energy switch, he could just go for the win here. He would just need one heads. But it doesn't look like he does. He does have a bunch of energy, though. If I were him, I'd probably just Quaking Punch. I mean, there's no way that Chris can... There's no way that Chris can win next turn. It's impossible. Yep, so we'll just see a Quaking Punch. Remember, again, Chris only has one more double colorless energy left, and as long as Jimmy is Quaking Punching, he cannot use puzzle at times to get them back. So Chris really has to be careful with his resources as well. So it's kind of crunch time right here for both players. They got to Chris has got to figure out how he can KO this Seismitoad EX, and then also maybe the Manaphy or the Hoopa on the bench. He'll need at least 2 turns for that. Jimmy's going to see if he can win on the following turn, which seems pretty likely.
Okay, so it looks like he just Sycamore, got it all out of there. Benches a Mew. Okay, he takes
Okay,
the
he will
knockout
just
beat.
Night March. All Jimmy needs is an energy. He does. He has it. And Articuno takes 2 prizes when it knocks out a Pokemon. Articuno's doing 30 damage. Pumpkaboo had 20 HP left. So that will be the game for Jimmy McClure, who is now 5-0. Probably in the top cut.
Yeah, I think at this point he's definitely safe.
Yep, I think he could probably ID his last 2 rounds and just make the top cut. Chris will have to win at least one more.